This is Graphing Exercise from Microsoft Excel 2010. Following this tutorial, you will learn how to input data into a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet and use this data to create a line graph. The first thing you must do to create a line graph is to open an Excel document. As you can see, I've already done this. Next, to begin inputting the data, move your cursor over to column A, the first column, and the first box that'll be in row 1 and click on it. Once you do that, the A and the 1 will be highlighted and the box will be surrounded in a bold outline. You can begin entering your data as soon as your box is surrounded in a bold outline. To move down to the next row, simply use the arrow keys to move down, or you can use your cursor to click on the next box and move down manually. I have 5 points of data and I have filled rows 1 through 5. Once I have finished inputting my data, I will need to use it to create a line graph. The data that I've input represents my baseline data. To create a line graph of your baseline data, click on the first box, that'll be box A1, so that A and 1 are highlighted and that the box is surrounded in a bold outline. Holding down on the mouse, drag the cursor down until you have surrounded all of your data. As you can see, rows 1 through 5, column A, are surrounded in a bold outline and all of my data has a blue highlight. Once all of your data is selected, move your cursor to the top ribbon and click on the Insert tab. The ribbon will change so that you can see a number of different options. Move your cursor to the third section titled Charts. In this section, there are a number of different charts. We are going to make a line graph, so click on the line graph icon. That is the second icon in this section. When you click on it, a drop-down menu will appear. It has sections for both 2 and 3D lines. I want to create a 2D line graph, and I want my data points marked. So I'm going to select the first image in the second row. If I hold my cursor over it, a description will appear called Line with Markers. Click on this icon. Your graph will automatically insert. Currently, my graph is highlighted. You can tell that because there is a white outline surrounding the graph and my data is surrounded in a blue line. If I were to click outside of my graph, the data would no longer be surrounded in a blue line and my graph would just have a line surrounding it. To re-highlight the graph, click on it. You may notice that when you have the graph highlighted, a new option appears in the top ribbon called Chart Tools. Please keep this in mind because it is very important as we edit our graph. Now as you look at your graph, you can see that there are no title nor are the axes labeled. In order to label our axes, click on the Design tab of the Chart Tools ribbon and move to the third section of this new ribbon. It's called Chart Layout. Click on the down arrow and a menu will appear. The different icons in this menu will let you have different options on your graph. Some of them may have legends labeled, some of them may not, some of them may have titles, some of them may not. You can play around with it to see what you want. For this demonstration, I'm going to select Layout 10. When I click on it, my graph automatically changes, such that chart title appears and so do titles for both axes. In order to edit these titles, click on the one you want to edit. A line should surround the words. Continue to click on it until the line changes to a dotted line. Once this happens, you can delete chart title and replace it with your own. Mine is going to be Cody Naming Colors. Repeat to change your axes titles. As you may see, when I clicked on that, a new pop-up menu appeared. Don't worry about it. All that does is let you change your axis title, give it different effects. We're not going to worry about that right now. Just click close and go back to clicking on it until the dotted line appears and edit it as you will. My x-axis is going to be trials. And my y-axis, see it appeared again, I'm just going to close it out. My y-axis is going to be number correct. Now you may notice that the series, the legend, isn't labeled. We're not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to show you how to change that later. But this data represents my baseline data. But what if I actually had done 8 trials and forgot to enter them? Don't worry about that. It's actually really easy to add new data. All you do is move over to where your data is and enter the new numbers in the same way as before. Then click on your graph so it's highlighted and move your cursor over to the data, over to the blue outline. Click on it and drag it down so that it surrounds all your data. And your chart will automatically update. This represents new baseline data taken on different trials in the same period of time. But what if I wanted to add data representing a second color taken at the same trials? Well, to do that, I would add the data in the B column. Now really quickly, I'm just going to delete the new data that I added and enter some numbers in my B column to represent maybe a second color. Let's see. Now I enter that in the same way. I'm using my arrow key to move down through the boxes and to include it in my graph. I just click on my graph so that it's highlighted, select the blue box, and drag it over. Now you may notice that these lines appeared between the points of this new line. Don't worry about that. They're called high-low lines. Just click on them and hit delete, and they'll go away. Because I have added this at the same trials, this represents new data taken at the same trials. So this might represent 2 different colors. They're both still baseline because they're both taken at the same trial. They're both taken over the same period of time. But what if I wanted to represent a different period of time? Well, to do that, first I'm just going to return my graph to normal. And I'm actually going to delete one value just to make it a little easier on myself. To do that, I would go to the B column, but leave the first 4 trials empty. Then I would insert my new data, like so, and see how it's separated in time. In column A, I go from 1 to 4, representing the first 4 trials, and in column B, I go from 5 to 8, representing the next 4 trials. The reason that I've done this is to represent a difference in time, but also to have 2 different lines so that I can have 2 different colors. To add that data, you do the same thing. Make sure your chart is highlighted. Select the blue outline and drag down so that all your data is filled. And there you go. However, with these 2 lines in, now I really need that legend labeled. Otherwise, I don't know which one is baseline and which one is after intervention. To name my legend, what I have to do is go into the Design tab. Same way I did before, I moved my cursor up to the Chart Tools ribbon and clicked on the Design tab. And now I'm going to select the Select Data icon. That will be in the second section, and it is the 4th icon from the left. When I click on it, I get a pop-up box saying Select Data Source. I'm going to click on Series 1 so that it's highlighted and hit Edit. And then I'm going to type in baseline because this is my baseline data and hit OK. I'm going to do the same thing for Series 2 and type in intervention because it is my intervention data and hit OK. And then I'm going to hit OK. As you can see, my legend is now correctly labeled, and you can tell before and after intervention what the rate of Cody naming colors correctly is. The last thing I have to do is add in a trend line. To do that, I'm going to go, making sure my graph is still highlighted, to the Layout tab of the Chart Tools ribbon and select Trend Line. That'll be in the 6th section. It is the first icon in the 6th section. I'm going to hit Trend Line. Then I'm going to select the second option down. That's a linear trend line. And click on it. Then I can choose Baseline or Intervention. I'm right now going to choose Baseline and hit OK. And it adds in a trend line. Once you've done this, you can complete your project as is, or you can play around with the options. For example, if I click the Design Layout on Chart Tools, I can select an option from the top, which will give me a cool effect. It'll give me a 3D effect, or it'll change my colors. It's not necessary, but it's something cool you can do. In the Layout section, there's also options for completely customizing your chart title and axis titles and legend. But again, that's not something that's necessary. Alright, after viewing this tutorial, you have learned how to enter data into an Excel spreadsheet and use that data to create a line graph. Good luck!